Admiral Tay stood at the main viewing deck of the Star Vanquisher, watching as the Orion homeworld burned below. The fires were visible even from orbit, orange dots spreading across the night side of the planet. He allowed himself a small smile. Another victory for the Celestial Alliance? Another world that would now serve their great empire. "Admiral," said Captain Han as he approached with a datapad. "The final counts are in. The Orion defense fleet has been destroyed. Our ground forces have taken all major cities." Tay nodded. "Casualties? Higher than expected, sir. We lost 23 ships and nearly 5,000 soldiers." Han's face showed no emotion, but his voice carried the weight of the losses. "The Orions fought harder than our intelligence suggested they would," Tay said. He turned from the view of the burning planet. "But they still lost, as all primitive species do when they face the Alliance." The command center of the Star Vanquisher buzzed with activity. Crew members moved between stations, tracking the final stages of the conquest. The room glowed with blue light from dozens of screens. The air smelled of the clean, filtered oxygen that all Alliance ships used. Commander Suk approached, her steps quick and her face worried. "Admiral, I need to speak with you." "Can it wait, Commander? We are about to contact Alliance High Command with news of our victory." "It's about Earth, sir," Suk said quietly. Tay frowned. Earth was a small, unimportant world on the edge of the galaxy. The humans had discovered faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. They kept to themselves and traded with a few nearby systems. The Alliance had decided long ago that Earth was not worth conquering. Not yet, anyway. "What about Earth?" Tay asked. "We've detected unusual activity in their system. Their usual communication channels have gone silent over the past year." "Silent? Perhaps their equipment failed." Suk shook her head. "No, sir. It's like they turned everything off on purpose, and our long-range sensors have detected energy readings that suggest large-scale construction projects in orbit around their world in Mars." General June joined them, his tall figure towering over Commander Suk. "Forgive me for interrupting, but High Command is waiting for our report on the Orion conquest." Tay waved his hand. "Earth is not our concern right now. We have just won a great victory. The Orion sector is ours, with all its resources and worlds." He turned to face June. "Begin preparations for the victory ceremony. I want every ship in formation. This conquest will be remembered for generations." "Yes, Admiral," June said with a bow. As June walked away, Suk tried once more. "Sir, I really think we should—" "Enough, Commander," Tay said. "Make your report about Earth if you must, but keep it brief. We have more important matters to attend to." Suk's shoulders dropped slightly, but she nodded and returned to her station. 2 days later, the Alliance fleet gathered in a grand formation above the conquered Orion homeworld. Over 300 ships formed perfect lines, their hulls gleaming in the light of the Orion sun. At the center of the formation, the Star Vanquisher prepared for the victory ceremony. In the main hall of the flagship, Admiral Tay stood before the gathered officers and important crew members. Behind him, a large window showed the planet below and the impressive fleet all around them. "Today we add another star system to the Great Celestial Alliance," Tay announced. His voice carried throughout the hall, and screens broadcasted his speech to every ship in the fleet. The Orions thought they could stand against us. They were wrong. Applause filled the hall. Tay raised his hands for silence. This victory was not easy. The Orions fought with unexpected strength. But they could not match our technology, our strategy, or our determination. As it has been for 500 years, the Alliance conquers all who stand before it. In the back of the room, Commander Suk stood next to Captain Han. Her face showed worry while Han watched the Admiral with pride. "You don't look happy," Han whispered. "Something doesn't feel right," Suk replied. "I've been studying the Earth reports. Their behavior changed too suddenly." "Earth? Why do you care about that backwater planet?" Before Suk could answer, Admiral Tay continued his speech. "The Orion sector will provide us with the resources we need to continue our expansion. Their metals will build our ships. Their energy sources will power our cities, and their people will serve the Alliance, as is proper, for a conquered species. More applause followed. Tay smiled, enjoying the moment. At her station near the wall, Sook's datapad beeped softly. She looked down and her eyes widened. She quickly moved through the crowd toward Admiral Tay. With this victory, we move one step closer to... Tay's speech was interrupted as Sook reached him and whispered urgently in his ear. The Admiral's face changed from joy to concern in an instant. He turned to General June, who stood nearby. "Get me long-range sensor data now," Tay ordered. The celebration continued around them, with officers drinking and talking, unaware of the sudden tension among their leaders. June moved quickly to a nearby console and pulled up the sensor readings. "What am I looking at?" Tay asked as he studied the screen. "Energy signatures," Sook explained. "Massive ones, coming from the direction of Earth's solar system." "How massive?" "Each one is larger than this flagship, sir. And there are many of them." The room grew quiet as officers noticed the serious conversation. Captain Han approached and looked at the screen. "Those readings can't be right," Han said. "No ship is that large." Tay turned to the communications officer. "Send a message to the approaching vessels. Identify yourselves and state your purpose for entering Alliance territory." Minutes passed with no response. The mood in the hall changed, from celebration to worry. Finally, the communications officer spoke up. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission." "Put it on the main screen," Tay ordered. The large screen at the front of the hall showed only a simple Earth military symbol, a blue globe with 2 olive branches. A calm, clear voice spoke in perfect Alliance standard language. "This is Admiral Park of the Earth Defense Force. We have observed your unprovoked attack on the Orion civilization, a peaceful trading partner of Earth. Your actions violate the principles of galactic coexistence." The room fell completely silent. Every eye was fixed on the screen. "We have come to ensure justice for the Orion people," the voice continued. "Your fleet will stand down immediately." Tay laughed, though there was nervousness in his voice. "And if we refuse?" There was a pause before Admiral Park replied. "Then you will witness firsthand why Earth has remained independent despite your Alliance's constant expansion." The sensor officer called out in a shaking voice. "Admiral, the vessels are dropping out of faster-than-light travel." On the main screen, the image changed to show space outside their fleet. One by one, massive ships appeared against the blackness of space. Each was several times larger than the biggest Alliance vessel. They were long and angular, with dark metal hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Earth dreadnoughts," Sook whispered. "They're real." The celebration was over. The true battle was about to begin. Silence filled the command center of the Star Vanquisher as everyone stared at the massive Earth ships on the main screen. The Earth dreadnoughts moved with perfect precision, forming a half-circle around the Alliance fleet. Their dark hulls made them look like shadows against the stars. Admiral Tay was the first to break the silence. "How many?" The sensor officer swallowed hard before answering. 27 dreadnoughts, sir. Each one is approximately 5 times the size of our largest battleship." "Impossible," Tay whispered. He turned to Commander Sook. "You were right. To be concerned. How did we miss this? How did Earth build such a fleet without our knowledge?" Before Sook could answer, Engineer Wu rushed into the command center. The chief engineer's uniform was wrinkled, and his eyes were wide with excitement and fear. "Admiral, I've analyzed the initial scans of the Earth vessels," Wu said, pulling up data on the main screen. "These ships should not exist. The power readings suggest they use a form of energy generation that our scientists thought was only theoretical." "Captain," Han frowned at the data. "What kind of weapons do they have?" "Unknown," Wu replied. "But the energy they're generating could power our entire fleet 10 times over. Whatever weapons they have, they will be formidable." Diplomat's son, the Alliance, political representative who had been overseeing the Orion conquest, stepped forward. His long robes rustled as he moved. "Perhaps we should open a dialogue," Sun suggested. "If they wanted to attack, they would have done so already." Tay nodded. Open a channel to their flagship. The communications officer worked at her console. Channel open, sir. Tay straightened his uniform and faced the screen. This is Admiral Tay of the Celestial Alliance 7th Fleet. You have entered Alliance territory without permission. State your intentions clearly. The screen showed the bridge of the Earth dreadnought. It was simple compared to Alliance ships, with clean lines and minimal decoration. At the center stood Admiral Park, a middle-aged man with calm eyes and a stern expression. Our intentions are clear, Admiral Tay, Park replied. The Orion civilization reached out to Earth when your invasion began. We promised them protection, but we arrived too late. Now we are here to ensure you leave their system and pay for the damage you have caused. Tay's face hardened. The Orions were a primitive species in Alliance territory. Our conquest was lawful according to Alliance decree. Earth has no authority here. Authority comes from power, Admiral, Park said simply. And as you can see, the balance of power has changed. After the communication ended, Tay turned to his officers. I want all information we have on Earth, now. In the ship's strategy room, Commander Sook presented what information they had. Images and data filled the screens around them. Earth has always been considered a minor power, Sook explained. They discovered faster-than-light travel only 50 years ago. Their military was thought to be small and defensive only. Clearly, our intelligence was wrong, General June said. Sook nodded. It appears that Earth has been deliberately hiding their true capabilities. They maintained a facade of technological inferiority while secretly building these dreadnoughts. Engineer Wu pointed to technical schematics. Based on their size and power readings, each dreadnought could have taken years to build. They must have been planning this for decades. But why? Captain Han asked. Why hide? Why wait? Diplomat Sun, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. They were studying us, learning our weaknesses. The humans have a saying. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Sook pulled up historical records. I found something interesting in our archives. Humans have a long history of warfare among themselves. Before they unified, they fought thousands of wars over thousands of years. So, they're savages, Tay said dismissively. No, sir, Sook replied. They're survivors, and they're innovators. Each war pushed them to develop new technologies, new strategies. They evolved through conflict in a way few species have. The room fell quiet as everyone considered this information. What are our options? Tay finally asked. General June stood tall. We still outnumber them. 300 ships against 27. Numbers mean nothing if their technology is superior, Wu argued. My analysis suggests their ships could destroy ours with ease. We should retreat, Captain Han suggested. Return to Alliance space and report what we found. Tay's eyes flashed with anger. Retreat? After our victory? I will not show such weakness. Then we negotiate, Diplomat Sun said. Find out what they truly want. Before Tay could respond, the ship's alarms blared. The main screen showed one of the Earth dreadnoughts moving closer to the Alliance formation. They're approaching. The captured Orion ships, the sensor officer reported. Tay's face hardened. Prepare weapons. If they attempt to take our prizes, we will show them the strength of the Alliance. On the bridge of the Earth dreadnought deterrent, Admiral Park watched the Alliance fleet on his display. Beside him, Lieutenant Jin monitored. Communications. They're powering up weapons, Admiral, Jin reported. Park nodded. As expected, they're too proud to back down immediately. Should we respond in kind? Asked his second-in-command. No, Park replied. Let's show them something more interesting instead. Park pressed a button on his chair. This is Admiral Park to all ships. Initiate Operation Shield Wall. On the Star Vanquisher, the crew watched as the Earth dreadnoughts began to emit a soft, blue glow. What are they doing? Tay demanded. Engineer Wu worked frantically at his console. They're generating some kind of energy field. I've never seen anything like it. Suddenly, every screen on the Alliance flagship flickered. Systems shut down and then restarted moments later. What happened? Tay shouted. They just scanned us, Wu said in disbelief. but it was unlike any scan I've ever seen. They didn't just look at our ships. They looked inside our systems, our computers. The main screen activated again, showing Admiral Park. "A demonstration, Admiral Tay," Park said calmly. "We now have complete schematics of every vessel in your fleet. We know your weapons capabilities, your shield strengths, and your tactical systems. We could disable your entire fleet without destroying a single ship." To prove his point, the weapons systems on 10 Alliance ships suddenly powered down. "How is this possible?" Tay whispered. Commander Sook stepped forward. "Sir, I found classified files in our deepest archives. Rumors, mostly. But they speak of a species that developed technology based on principles completely different from those used by the Alliance. A species that could integrate biological and technological systems in ways we never mastered. Humans," Captain Han said. The screen changed to show Lieutenant Jin, the communications officer from the Earth Fleet. "The Alliance has conquered 57 civilizations in the past century," Jin said. "Each time you use the same tactics, the same weapons, the same strategies. We watched, we learned, and we built our technology specifically to counter yours." Admiral Park reappeared on screen. "Now, Admiral Tay, shall we discuss terms, or would you prefer another demonstration?" Tay looked around at his officers. For the first time in his long career, he saw fear in their eyes. Not just fear of defeat, but fear of something they did not understand. "What are your terms?" Tay asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Park's expression remained neutral. "We watched what you did to the Orion people. We are here to answer for them." The air in the command center of the Star Vanquisher felt heavy. Admiral Tay sat in his command chair, his fingers tapping nervously on the armrest. Around him, his officers waited for his decision. The massive Earth dreadnoughts remained in formation, surrounding the Alliance fleet. "They have us trapped," Captain Han said quietly. "They've positioned themselves to block all retreat paths." General June slammed his fist on the table. "We cannot surrender. The Alliance has never yielded to any force in 500 years. "We've never faced ships like these before," Commander Sook reminded him. "This is not about pride. This is about survival." Admiral Park's face appeared again on the main screen. "Admiral Tay, here are our terms. First, immediate withdrawal of all Alliance forces from Orion space. Second, reparations to the Orion people for the damage you've caused. Third, release of all Orion prisoners." Tay's jaw tightened. "And if we refuse, then we will remove you ourselves," Park replied simply. "We would prefer to avoid bloodshed, but we are prepared for it if necessary." The transmission ended, leaving the Alliance officers in silence. "We should negotiate," Diplomat Sun urged. "These terms are harsh but not unreasonable considering our position." "Negotiate with humans?" Tay spat the words. "They are bluffing. Their ships may be large, but they cannot possibly defeat our entire fleet." Engineer Wu shook his head. "Sir, my analysis suggests their technology is far beyond ours. They disabled 10 of our ships with what appeared to be a simple scanning beam." Tay stood up, his face red with anger. "I will not be intimidated by a species that only learned to travel between stars 50 years ago." He turned to General June. "Prepare a targeted strike, not a full attack, just enough to test their defenses. Target their smallest dreadnought." "Captain." Han stepped forward. "Admiral, I must formally object to this course of action." "Objection noted and ignored, Captain," Tay replied coldly. "Carry out my orders, General." June nodded and moved to the weapons console. On the bridge of the Earth dreadnought deterrent, Admiral Park watched the Alliance fleet with calm eyes. "They're powering weapons on 5 of their cruisers," reported his tactical officer. "Targeting the Vigilant." Park nodded. "As expected, they need to test us." He pressed a button on his chair. "Lieutenant Jin, please open a channel to the Vigilant." Lieutenant Jin's face appeared on a small screen. "Channel open, Admiral." "Captain Lee, you are about to receive visitors. Please ensure our response is educational but not lethal." Captain Lee smiled. "Understood, Admiral. We've been waiting for this opportunity to demonstrate the shield wall." Aboard the Star Vanquisher, General June announced, "Attack squadron. Ready, Admiral." 5 cruisers will fire their main weapons simultaneously. Fire, Tay ordered. On the main screen, they watched as bright energy beams shot from the Alliance cruisers toward the smallest Earth dreadnought. The beams, powerful, enough to destroy a small moon, raced across space. Then something unexpected happened. Before the beams reached the dreadnought, they seemed to hit an invisible wall. The energy spread out like water hitting glass, forming a glowing blue dome around the Earth ship. The dome absorbed the attack completely, growing brighter for a moment before returning to normal. Impossible, June whispered. Engineer Wu frantically analyzed the data. Some kind of advanced shield technology. It didn't just block the attack, it absorbed the energy. The Earth dreadnought began to glow with the same blue light. Then it released a pulse of energy that washed over the 5 Alliance cruisers. Their lights flickered and then went out. What happened? Tay demanded. The cruisers have been disabled, Wu reported. All systems are down except for life support. They used our own weapon energy against us. Lieutenant Jin's face appeared on the screen. That was a non-lethal response, Admiral Tay. Your cruisers' crews are unharmed, but their ships will remain disabled for the next 6 hours. We could have destroyed them instead. Please consider this a demonstration of our restraint. Captain Han moved to stand beside Tay. Admiral, we must reconsider our position. We cannot win this fight. Tay's face had gone pale. For the first time in his career, he felt true fear, but his pride would not let him surrender so easily. Prepare all remaining ships for full attack, he ordered, his voice shaking slightly. We will not be humiliated by... No. Captain Han's voice was firm. I cannot allow this. Tay turned to face his second-in-command. You dare to disobey me? I dare to save the lives of our crew, Han replied. He looked around at the other officers. Commander Suk, your assessment? The humans have shown they can disable our ships at will, Suk said. A full attack would be suicide. Engineer Wu, their technology is beyond anything in our records, Wu confirmed. We are outmatched. General Jun. The general hesitated, then nodded slowly. A good commander knows when to retreat and regroup. Diplomat Sun. Negotiations are our only viable option, Sun stated. Captain Han turned back to Admiral Tay. The command staff is in agreement. Under Alliance Military Code, Section 47, I'm relieving you of command due to impaired judgment that endangers this fleet. Tay's eyes widened in shock. This is mutiny. This is survival, Han corrected him. He turned to the communications officer. Open a channel to the Earth fleet. Tell them we wish to discuss terms. 2 security officers moved to stand beside Tay. He looked around at his officers, his face a mixture of rage and disbelief. You will all pay for this, he hissed. As Tay was escorted from the bridge, Han took the command chair. Commander Suk, what do we know about human negotiation protocols? Very little, Suk admitted. But they appear to value directness and honesty. Then we will be direct and honest, Han said. He took a deep breath as Admiral Park's face appeared on the screen. This is Captain Han, acting commander of the Alliance 7th Fleet. Admiral Tay has been relieved of command. We accept your terms and request a ceasefire to discuss implementation. Park studied Han's face before responding. A wise decision, Captain. Prepare a shuttle. You and your senior staff will come aboard the deterrent to finalize the agreement. As the transmission ended, Han turned to his officers. Prepare for the meeting. We need to salvage what we can from this situation. But before they could move, alarms blared throughout the ship. What's happening? Han demanded. It's Admiral Tay, the security chief shouted over the comm system. He's broken free and taken control of the auxiliary command center. He's locked us out of the weapon systems. On the main screen, they watched in horror as the Star Vanquisher's main cannon powered up, aiming directly at the deterrent. Stop him, Han shouted, but it was too late. The massive energy beam erupted from the Alliance flagship, streaking toward the Earth vessel where Admiral Park waited. Commander Suk closed her eyes, not wanting to see what would happen next. The Alliance had just signed its own death warrant. Time seemed to slow as the energy beam from the Star Vanquisher raced toward the Earth Dreadnought deterrent. On the bridge of the Alliance flagship, Captain Han and his officers watched in horror, knowing this attack could doom them all. But what happened next left them speechless. As the beam approached the deterrent, the massive Earthship began to glow with a soft blue light. Then, impossibly, the beam curved away from its target. The deadly energy stream bent like a river around a rock, circling the dreadnought before dispersing harmlessly into space. "How?" Engineer Wu whispered, his eyes wide with wonder and fear. The auxiliary command center doors slid open, and security officers rushed in with Admiral Tay in restraints. His face was twisted with rage and disbelief. "It's not possible," Tay shouted. "No shield can deflect a beam like that." Commander Suk studied the readings on her console. It wasn't a shield. They somehow controlled the energy itself, redirecting it without absorption or reflection. The main screen activated, showing Admiral Park. His expression was stern, but not angry. "Captain Han," Park said calmly, "I trust you now have your command situation under control." Han bowed his head slightly. "Yes, Admiral. Admiral Tay will be confined for the remainder of our negotiations. His actions do not represent the current command of this fleet." "Good. Your shuttle is expected in 1 hour. We will discuss the future of this region then." Park's image disappeared. Han turned to his officers. "Diplomat Sun, Commander Suk, Engineer Wu, you will accompany me to the Earth vessel. General Jun, maintain fleet readiness, but do not, under any circumstances, power weapons systems." As Tay was led away, he glared at Han. "You are destroying 500 years of Alliance dominance. They will remember you as a traitor." "Perhaps," Han replied. "Or perhaps they will remember me as the one who prevented our extinction." The Earth Dreadnought deterrent was even more impressive from the inside. The Alliance delegation walked through wide corridors with smooth walls that seemed to glow from within. Unlike the ornate designs of Alliance vessels, everything here was simple, functional, and elegant. Lieutenant Jin led them to a large conference room. The walls displayed images of stars and planets, and at the center stood a circular table with a holographic display. Admiral Park entered with several officers and a woman in formal civilian clothes. "Welcome aboard the deterrent," Park said. "This is Diplomat Nari, Earth's representative for interspecies relations." Nari stepped forward. Her face was kind, but her eyes were sharp and observant. "Thank you for agreeing to these talks, Captain Han. Today marks a turning point in the relationship between Earth and the Celestial Alliance. I hope it will be a positive one, despite our difficult beginning," Han replied cautiously. They sat around the table, and Nari activated the holographic display. It showed an image of the galaxy with hundreds of colored dots representing different civilizations. "For generations, the Alliance has expanded through conquest," Nari explained. "The blue dots represent independent worlds. The red dots are those conquered by the Alliance." Notice the pattern? Han and his officers studied the display. The red dots had spread like a disease across one section of the galaxy, while the blue dots remained scattered. "Earth has been watching the Alliance for over a century," Admiral Park continued. "While you thought we were isolated and primitive, we were building relationships with many of these independent worlds. Studying you," Diplomat Sun said with sudden understanding. "Learning your weaknesses. Learning your cruelty," Nari corrected gently. "The Alliance claims to bring order and progress, but we have documented evidence of your atrocities." The holographic display changed to show images that made the Alliance officers uncomfortable. Planets stripped of resources, species forced into labor, cultures destroyed. Commander Suk looked away. "Not all of us support these methods. No," Nari said. "Which is why we're having this conversation instead of continuing hostilities." The door opened, and a short, blue-skinned being entered the room. His race was immediately recognizable, an Orion. "This is Chul," Admiral Park introduced him. "One of the few Orion leaders to escape your invasion." Chul's large eyes looked at each Alliance officer in turn. "My people have lived in peace for thousands of years. We never threatened the Alliance, yet you came with fire and death, taking what was not yours. Captain Han bowed his head. On behalf of the current command of this fleet, I apologize for the actions taken against your world. Chul nodded slowly. Words are easy. Actions will prove your sincerity. That brings us to our terms, Nari said, bringing the discussion back to focus. Earth is proposing a new galactic accord. The Alliance will withdraw from Orion space immediately. You will provide resources for rebuilding. And most importantly, the Alliance will accept new boundaries. The holographic display changed again, showing new borders that would significantly reduce Alliance territory. General June, who had remained silent until now, spoke up through the communication link. The Alliance Council will never accept this. They will send more fleets. Admiral Park smiled slightly. They can try. But you've seen only a fraction of Earth's capabilities today. How many dreadnoughts do you have? Engineer Wu asked, his curiosity overcoming his caution. Enough, Park replied simply. And not just dreadnoughts. Earth has established defensive systems throughout the galaxy, protecting worlds that wish to remain independent. But why? Han asked. Why go to such lengths to protect other species? Because that's what humans do, Nari answered. Throughout our history, we've fought against empires and tyrants. We know what it means to face a superior force and still find a way to prevail. Chul stepped forward. The humans came to us years ago, offering technology and friendship with no demands. When your invasion began, they promised to help. They were too late to prevent the attack, but not too late to ensure justice. Captain Han looked around at his fellow officers. They had come expecting humiliation and harsh terms. Instead, they were being offered a path forward. Difficult, but not impossible. We will need to discuss this with Alliance High Command, Han said finally. Of course, Nari agreed. But remember, Captain, the fleet that conquered the Orion sector is now under Earth's control. Your leadership will have little choice but to accept these terms. 3 weeks later, Captain Han stood on the observation deck of the Star Vanquisher, watching as the last Alliance ships prepared to leave Orion space. Behind him, Commander Suk approached with a datapad. The final evacuation. Reports, Captain, she said. All military personnel have withdrawn as agreed. Han nodded. And the reconstruction teams? The first group of Alliance engineers has arrived to begin rebuilding what we destroyed. They will work under Orion supervision. And Admiral Tay? Transferred to an Earth vessel for return to Alliance territory. He will face a military tribunal for his actions. Han turned to look at the blue-green planet below them. Already Earth ships were helping the Orions restore their damaged cities. I still don't understand them, Han admitted. They had the power to destroy us completely. Why show mercy? Suk smiled slightly. I've been studying human history. They believe that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. They call it humanity. Do you think the Alliance can learn from them? I hope so, Suk replied. Because the alternative is extinction. The age of conquest is over, Captain. The humans have made sure of that. In the distance, an Earth dreadnought moved silently through space, a guardian of the new peace. Its dark hull gleamed in the light of the Orion sun, not a weapon of war, but a shield against tyranny. The galaxy would never be the same again.